Collected Miscellany, Part 4, let's go.
Technically speaking, the Tenryou Commission has no formal position called detective. However, formal or not, Doshin Shikanoin is indisputably the Commission's top sleuth. And every co-worker and criminal he has ever met has come to refer to him as that famous detective.
Ah, looks like Animo.
Even the most rigid of rules will bend to accommodate extraordinary talent. And so the young prodigy detective's reputation only continues to
Alright, I'm expecting quick attacks. Quick attacks from this guy.
Prefers to avoid physical combat and prides himself on winning battles with his intellect.
Really?
However, even he
I think he's like
that sometimes the martial arts skills that his father made him learn are vital when defending himself.
I was gonna say, I bet this guy is like on him like crazy.
Although cracking cases is a detective's core duty, Heizo believes his true calling lies in preventing would-be criminals from ever committing crimes in the first place. When Shikanoin Heizo is in the party, he reduces sprinting stamina consumption for your own party members, making exploration faster.
Okay. I love those little passives.
5 strikes that deal animo damage. His charged attack
he's hands and feet type of fighter.
To perform a sweeping kick, dealing animo damage.
He definitely uses a sword though, come on.
Tap Heizo's elemental skill to wield the swift winds and launch a powerful strike that deals animo damage.
Okay, simple and to the
Holding
point.
the skill charges energy and allows Heizo to obtain up to 4 stacks of the declension effect, which increases the power of the next elemental skill. When the skill button is released, or the skill finishes charging, Heizo strikes forward, dealing animo damage. When Heizo possesses 4 declension stacks, the conviction effect is produced, further increasing the damage and AoE of the next elemental skill.
Almost 3 times as much.
After unlocking the talent's paradoxical practice,
I mean, not almost, but like 2.5 at
one
least.
Declension stack when he triggers a swirl reaction on the field. This effect can only be gained once per short period. Strategic use of this effect allows Heizo to quickly gain declension stacks and increase the power of the elemental skill. Sharp investigative instincts enable Heizo to quickly pinpoint the motive and method behind a crime. His sheer brilliance means that many aspire to one day partner with him on a case. When the talent's penetrative reasoning is unlocked, after Heizo's elemental skill hits an opponent, the elemental mastery of all other party members is increased for a limited time.
Confess!
When Heizo unleashes his elemental burst, he leaps into the air and kicks the Fudo-style vacuum slugger towards the enemy. The vacuum slugger explodes on hit, creating a wind tunnel that pulls in nearby objects and opponents and deals AoE animo damage. When vacuum slugger hits enemies affected by Hydro, Pyro, Cryo, or Electro, it afflicts them with Windbuster Iris. Moments later, Windbuster Iris explodes and dissipates, dealing AoE damage of the corresponding elemental type. Vacuum Slugger can inflict a maximum of 4 enemies with the Windbuster Iris. A single enemy cannot be affected by irises of different elemental types at the same time. Though Shikanoin Heizo always chooses brains over brawn, he is nimble and well-practiced in the martial arts of his clan.
I feel like I wouldn't use him.
Battle judgment makes him more competent at close quarters combat.
For some reason, he just doesn't seem very powerful.
In battle, the elemental skill is Heizo's main means of attack. A smart offensive allows him to rack up declension stacks and unleash a more powerful elemental skill. When energy is full, Heizo unleashes his elemental burst and uses the vacuum slugger to deal animo damage. By effectively coordinating,
I'm kind of underwhelmed by him a
Heizo
little
can
bit.
afflict enemies with the Windbuster Iris, lowering their defenses while assisting his allies.
But he is a support, I guess, right? So that, I mean,
for most detectives, finding the truth is the end goal of every case.
I'm sure he's
once the file is
someone's
and the
favorite
criminal
character
brought to
out there.
justice, the satisfied sleuth sits
I feel like I
back
wouldn't use
and
him.
congratulates
Maybe he's
himself
more
on a
useful than
job
I
well
think.
done.
Or maybe he does more damage than I think.
But even a job well done is not enough for Heizo. Finding the truth is good, but finding a way to dissuade criminals in the first place is even better. If it were anyone else, I would laugh off their delusions of grandeur. Surely no single detective could hope to reduce crime through the sheer weight of their reputation. And yet, in the case of Shikanoin Heizo, I find myself entertaining a faint and uncharacteristic sense of optimism. With that said, it is a pity that a detective of his caliber was unavailable to take on the case of the deicide of the God of Contracts.
Oh, this is the mushroom guy. You know, I'm excited to get to Nahida.
Compared to ferocious beasts, it's hard to imagine placid plants ever posing a serious threat to humans. But deep within the sprawling forest where the vegetation grows unchecked, there is no telling what dangers may lurk within. So never underestimate the rainforest, for life is a formidable force. If you're hoping to pass through the Avidia forest without incident, you would be wise to heed the stern warnings of the Forest Watcher.
I'll lead the way.
Dendro.
Tighnari believes that the best thing to do with knowledge is to utilize it effectively in everyday life. Applying his botanical expertise in the use of his dendrovision has helped him to both advance his research and protect the rainforest's ecosystem.
I really want to try the Dendro characters. At least one, just one. Maybe not this guy. I don't know why. His character teaser was okay.
The location of resources
or
unique
the
to Sumeru will
yeah,
appear
the
on your
teaser,
mini-map,
right?
making it easier to gather supplies.
One of them sucked. The one where he ate mushrooms sucked. The other one was good.
Can combo up to 4 consecutive
I don't even remember what it was
dealing
called.
physical damage. With a charged attack, Tighnari executes a more precise, aimed shot that deals increased damage. The shot has different effects depending on how long the charging lasts. At charge level 1, Tighnari fires a dendro-infused arrow that deals dendro damage. At charge level 2,
what are those things they're
Tighnari
dropping?
fires a wreath arrow that deals dendro damage. After hitting its target, several cluster bloom arrows are generated that will auto-target nearby enemies and deal further dendro damage. When the talent Keen Sight is unlocked, after Tighnari fires a wreath arrow, his elemental mastery will be increased for a limited time. Tighnari's elemental skill throws a Vijnana Stormheart ahead of him that deals AoE dendro damage, and creates a Vijnana Khanda field, which summons strange illusions to taunt enemies and draw their fire.
Ooh.
Also, Tighnari gains the Vijnana Suffusion effect that decreases the charging time of the next wreath arrow. This effect will dissipate once the duration ends, or after Tighnari has fired a certain number of wreath arrows.
I'll uproot you!
Was this his ulti?
When Tighnari unleashes his elemental burst, he harnesses the power of germination and fires 6 Tanglevine tendrils that automatically target enemies and deal dendro damage. After the Tanglevine tendrils hit their target, a second wave of tendrils is produced that also auto-target enemies and deal dendro damage. After studying the properties of a diverse range of plants, Tighnari gained a wealth of new insight into dendro-infused arrows. After unlocking the talent Scholarly Blade, for every point of elemental mastery Tighnari possesses, his charged attack and elemental burst damage are increased. Damage can only be increased up to a certain limit. Poorly prepared hikers and fierce monsters are constant troubles in the rainforest. An earnest, informative lecture is sufficient to deal with the former. But in the case of the latter, Tighnari shows no mercy.
Tighnari.
During battle,
Seems
Tighnari
alright.
first uses his elemental skill to create a Vijnana.
No, I want to see like
Khanda
actual
to
combat.
taunt enemies and obtain the Vijnana.
I like the
Suffusion
taunts. I like that.
From a safe vantage point, he can now quickly charge and fire wreath arrows to deal dendro damage to enemies. When energy is full, Tighnari unleashes his elemental burst, firing Tanglevine tendrils that pursue enemies. 2 waves of Tanglevine root out the problem at the source. Even as I speak, strange events that I cannot comprehend are unfolding in Sumeru City. Fortunately for Tighnari,
Sumeru
though he
City?
lacks knowledge of the full
I gotta go to
situation,
Sumeru
his
City.
intuition has saved him from
I
becoming
really
a
want to try
Klee.
some of these new characters.
In Tighnari's
At least the new
opinion,
elements, I
however
mean.
profound and esoteric knowledge may be, it does not equal virtue. Elitism and deceit can lead to no good. Ironically, the academia sages who manage knowledge neither comprehend the true meaning of knowledge, nor understand the yearnings of the human heart. Though Tighnari has rejected them several times, still their pleas come time after time to his door. Let's see just where exactly the path of stubbornness and ignorance will.
Alright, let's go to Klee. Oh, yeah, I remember he was like writing a letter to
Some time ago,
I want to say it was like a
Forest Rangers of
university or
Gandharva
something.
welcomed a new trainee to
Like
the
they
force.
accepted him, but he
She's
couldn't
a
do it.
warm-hearted girl with a radiant smile, always ready to help a forest trekker in need. Like the hardiest plants in the forest, her will to live runs deep, seemingly unbreakable despite the traumas of the past.
Trainee Forest Ranger Klee, reporting.
Klee.
Mondstadt gave Klee an opportunity to turn things around, and now Sumeru provides her with a place to grow. Here, she will support those around her.
Another
with her newly
marksman,
acquired
bro!
power
Chill
of
with the
dendro.
marksmans! 2
Good
dendro
things
marksmans?
come to those who are willing to work toward their dreams.
Ah! Alright, I hope Nahida is not a
When Klee
marksman.
is in the party,
I don't know why,
she
but
reduces
they...
gliding stamina consumption for your own party members.
I'm sure there's some
Against
marksmans out there that do a lot of
Klee's
damage,
normal attack can
and I
combo
just
with
haven't
4
tried them all.
consecutive shots,
Let's be
dealing
honest.
physical damage.
Oh wait, this is kind of cool marksman at least.
Klee executes a more precise aimed shot.
But in my experience, like, Amber didn't do very much damage, and the only reason I had her was because she was a high level and pyro. But I kind of despised using her.
Throws a floral ring that deals 1 bout of dendro damage to each target it hits.
Ooh, okay, okay.
Return after a set time.
Alright, I like this.
Damage on the way back. After unlocking
I
the
like that.
Floral Sidewinder, if one of your own party members triggers a burning, quicken, aggravate, spread, bloom, hyperbloom, or burgeon reaction before the floral ring returns, the floral ring will grant the character the sprout effect on its return. The sprout effect deals dendro damage to nearby enemies for a set time based on Klee's attack.
That's pretty cool.
If the sprout effect is triggered again before it expires, the initial effect will be removed. Klee's elemental burst brings her trusty assistant, Anba, into the battle, causing an explosion that deals AoE dendro damage and creates a Anba zone. Anba bounds around within the zone, dealing further AoE dendro damage. Plant life thrives in the Sumeru forests, like the hope rejuvenated in Klee's life. After unlocking the talent The Languid Wood, when a character in the Anba zone triggers a burning, quicken, aggravate, spread, bloom, hyperbloom, or burgeon reaction, the zone's duration will be extended. A given Anba zone's duration may only be extended in this way, by up to a limited amount. The time that Klee once spent on the run taught her a wealth of survival and combat skills. Though still a trainee forest ranger, her dendro vision gives her the ability to hold her own in many challenging situations. In battle, Klee focuses on casting her elemental skill, aiming to hit as many enemies as possible and generate the sprout effect within the floral ring. This enables her teammates to deal greater damage through more elemental reactions.
She's kind of underwhelming as well. It's just a new element though, it's cool.
Klee summons Anba, whose Anba zone deals continuous dendro damage to the enemy and creates a fertile ground for elemental reactions. By coordinating with her teammates,
that's true.
The zone can be extended and exploited long enough to root out every last one. Growth means different things.
Alright, Nahida is gonna be some crazy fighter, I know it.
Loftier goals.
I don't think she's next though.
As for Klee, she believes
but I have high hopes.
Her past is a necessary step.
I do like her boomerang ability though.
She pursues.
I would hope it does some decent damage.
For to overcome is to move forward, not to wallow endlessly in the past. Pity that my former travel companion, for all their years of rumination, lacks Klee's clarity on this. Or perhaps, some situations are simply too complex to be resolved by good intentions and honest effort alone.
Klee. Alright, Dory. Oh yeah, this is like the auction house person. Electro, right? I think I remember this.
Dory long before she was the infinitely resourceful merchant that
am I thinking of the right person?
I could already see that her adorable face was
oh yeah. With the cool glasses.
Such focus, such passion. Now what kind of grand sorceress would I be if I didn't offer her just a little assistance? I dare say my instincts were right on the Mora. That little investment turned out to be one of the best I've ever made.
Come on, let's go. There's a fortune to be made.
A keen merchant like Dory wouldn't dream of turning away a perfectly good business deal just because the customer demands the impossible. No. So long as the price is right on your tall order, Lord Sangama Bay will personally make sure that all your worries are zapped away with the aid of her electrovision. Any deals that pass through Dory's hands seem to magically yield extra returns. When Dory crafts character and weapon enhancement materials, she has a chance to recover some of the materials used, which can be set aside for emergencies. Dory's normal attack causes her genie to combo up to 3 strikes that deal physical damage to enemies. Hold the attack button.
I feel like her auto attack's not going to be like very powerful.
Spinning attack on nearby enemies.
Reminds me of Seiyu. Same kind of weapon.
The genie unleashes one final extra strong strike that launches smaller enemies within range. Dory's elemental skill fires troubleshooter shots from her spirit warding lamp, dealing electro damage to enemies. To sweeten the deal, when troubleshooter shots hit their target, 2 after-sales service rounds are produced that automatically track down their nearby enemies and deal extra electro damage just for good measure. After unlocking the talent Compound Interest, when the troubleshooter shots or after-sales service rounds from Dory's elemental skill hit enemies, Dory will restore elemental energy to herself based on her energy recharge rate.
That's good.
Each elemental skill valid for 1 energy recharge only. Energy can be redeemed only up to a certain limit. Terms and conditions apply.
Magic lamp!
When Dory
Is there
unleashes
ulti?
her elemental burst, she summons the genie from her lamp to provide her customers with a plethora of services. The genie connects to a nearby character, causing them to become affected by Electro. The connected character will continuously restore HP based on Dory's max HP. And will also
Ooh.
steadily regenerate
Wait,
energy.
this is good.
When the connector between the genie and the character touches enemies, it will deal bouts of electro damage to them at set intervals. Only one genie can exist at one time. An astute merchant like Dory spots business opportunities everywhere she looks. She must always be ready to provide
That looks
customers with
pretty.
the
I mean,
perfect
her
solution
alt
at
seems
any
pretty
time.
strong.
After unlocking the talent,
I mean, imagine putting on like the
the
Shogun
character connected
or
to the genie
something.
triggers an electrocharged superconduct overloaded quicken aggravate hyper bloom or an electro swirl or crystallized reaction. The cooldown of troubleshooter cannon is decreased. This effect can only be triggered once within a set period of time. Any merchant worth their mora must have keen foresight, and Dory figures out just what her customers need before they've even realized themselves. That's why adventurers heading toward danger always seem to find a certain petite peddler waiting for them just where the going starts to get tough. After entering battle, Dory fires her troubleshooter shots to deal electro damage to enemies, with the after-sales service rounds following up after the initial delivery. When her energy is full, Dory summons forth the genie within the lamp to provide support to her teammates. The genie can connect to a nearby character, causing them to regenerate energy and restore HP. By moving the character's position, the connection with the genie can be adjusted, dealing electro damage to enemies, while offering customers a little extra bang for their buck. I've traveled all over the world, met countless people, and helped plenty of them along the way, but Dory is one of the very few who still keeps in touch. I'm not interested in her paying me back, but I do admire her bold and daring mercantile methods. Doing business is just like adventuring and inventing. You must go big or go home. You mustn't be skittish and easily deterred. So for my purposes, Dory is a superb partner, and I am only too delighted to place the most ingenious
I really like her
of my personal
ultimate.
inventions into her capable hands. An old astrologist friend of mine always harps on about the consequences of handing off these kinds of
Astrologist,
items, but nothing
Mona?
has come of it yet, so we'll continue business as normal.
Sino. Oh yeah, this guy was hunting him down in the desert.
Many in Sumeru make it their life's goal to be a scholar, some for the pursuit of truth and knowledge.
Wait, is Sumeru
But
in the
there are also
desert? No,
those
there's
who
no
have
way.
other
This is a different
intentions.
city, right?
After all, if you find a niche research topic and manage to secure academia funding, you're set for life. But if this sounds too good to be true, that's because it usually is. The academia is a millennia-old institution, and those working to ensure its continued longevity have zero tolerance for those trying to exploit it.
Who's our next target?
The favor of the
So he's
gods
protecting
enables Sino
the
to manipulate the
academia?
electro element and to summon a divine spirit to aid him in the cause of delivering justice. The General Mahamatra gained his formidable reputation not through empty posturing, but by tracking down wayward scholars and bringing them to justice. And because of his tracking prowess, these trips often end
okay.
up more bountiful than expected. Sino gains increased rewards when dispatched on a 20-hour expedition within Sumeru. Sino's normal attack can combo up to 4 strikes with his polearm, dealing physical damage. Using his charged attack, Sino consumes a certain amount of stamina to lunge forward, dealing physical damage to enemies along the way. Cast Sino's elemental skill to perform a high-speed dash, dealing electro damage to enemies in his path.
Through me, justice is served!
Sino's elemental burst summons a divine spirit to possess him. He morphs into the Pack-Sworn Path Clearer, causing damage dealt by his normal, charged, and plunging attacks to be converted to electro damage that cannot be overridden. In this state, Sino's elemental mastery and resistance to interruption are increased, and he gains immunity to damage dealt by electro-charged reactions. The Pack-Sworn Path Clearer state ends after a set duration, or when Sino leaves the field. When Sino is in the Pack-Sworn Path Clearer state, his elemental skill changes, instead unleashing a Mortuary Rite, which deals thunderous AoE electro damage and extends the duration of Pack-Sworn Path Clearer. Once the General Mahamatra has you in his sights, the best option is to admit your guilt. Otherwise, you will find yourself the target of his relentless pursuit. After unlocking the talent Featherfall Judgment, when Sino is in the Pack-Sworn Path Clearer state, he will intermittently enter the Endseer state. If he casts his elemental skill while in this state, he will activate the Judication effect, increasing the damage of this elemental skill and firing off 3 Dust Stalker bolts that deal electro damage. After unlocking the talent Authority over the 9 bows, damage
He reminds me of
Sino's
Razor a
normal
bit.
attack and Duststalker bolts while in the Pact Sworn Path Clearer state is increased based on Sino's elemental mastery. Break the Academia Code at your peril, for as are Sino's jokes, so too is his judgment, no laughing matter. Sino starts battle by casting his elemental skill, dealing electro damage to enemies and building up elemental energy. When his energy is full, he unleashes his elemental burst to enter the Pact Sworn Path Clearer state, then deals electro damage to enemies with normal attacks, and his special elemental skill, Mortuary Rite. By strategically using Mortuary Rite, he not only extends the Pact Sworn Path Clearer state, but also triggers the Judication effect to fire off Duststalker bolts and deliver final judgment upon the guilty. In my travels across Tevat, I've heard people say that curiosity was mankind's original sin. Perhaps everyone has the impulse to explore the deep secrets of the world, but only scholars can truly fulfill such ambitions.
I don't think I would use
Sino
Sino.
can relate to some degree.
Thinking about
Placing the
it,
mysteries of the universe before scholars with a burning
seems
desire for
alright.
knowledge
Like if you
would be
had
like
no
placing a
other
dragon-themed
electro
deck
high
from Genius
damage.
Invocation TCG in front of him.
Just I remember Razor not being
Irresistible
so great.
temptations.
I mean, he's okay.
Perhaps the
It's like,
academia
but there's
established
better.
the mantra not principally
Seems
to punish
like.
wayward scholars, but rather to protect
Maybe I'm
them.
wrong.
Because the gravest crimes committed in the name of wisdom may be beyond the mantra's ability to punish.
Alright, so now we've got Candace. Oh yeah, she was putting
In
on
the
like a
eyes of
player
many
sim.
adventurers,
Hydro.
merchants, and even mercenaries, Aru Village is the only safe haven in an otherwise treacherous desert. Though far from prosperous,
I knew this was a
it
different
provides
place.
ample food and water to all who come here in need, as well as a bed for the night.
Wait, am I thinking of the right
On
person?
one condition:
Candace.
do not disturb the peace.
Oh no, it's the girl who looks like Sino. Okay.
As
But
the
she is
sworn
Hydro,
protector
okay,
of Aru
gotcha.
Village, Candace is highly adept with her shield and spear. With the aid of her Hydro vision,
Shield, okay.
she can fend off the strongest of storms and the fiercest of foes. Life is harsh in the hot and arid desert. Strength and endurance are the key to survival for those who dwell here. When Candace is in the party, the active character benefits from reduced stamina consumption from climbing. Candace's normal attack can combo up to 4 strikes with her polearm, dealing physical damage. Using her charged attack, Candace consumes
attacker.
a certain amount of stamina to lunge forward.
I like when they can
dealing
go
physical
through the
damage to
enemies
enemies
like
along
that.
the
That's
way.
nice. That's pretty nice.
Tap Candace's elemental skill to perform
Gets
a
you out of
swift
trouble.
shield strike, dealing hydro damage to enemies in
okay.
front. Hold her elemental skill, and she raises the shield to block attacks from nearby enemies. The shield absorbs damage based on her max HP, and offers extra protection against hydro damage. The shield can remain until Candace finishes casting her elemental skill.
Ooh, I like that.
After holding the skill for a fixed duration, Candace will finish charging her attack. Then, when the skill is released, its duration expires or the shield is broken, she performs a forward leaping strike that deals
That's similar
hydro
to
damage.
not Aloy. It was some other Geo
After
from
unlocking the
before.
talent Aegis of Crossed Arrows,
Dang,
if
what was their
Candace is hit
name?
while holding her elemental skill,
It was like the 1v1 master,
bro.
bro. Reminds me of that.
When Candace
so many
unleashes her
characters.
elemental
Sorry,
burst,
I don't remember
she
it.
holds her weapon high to summon Divine Assistance, which deals AoE hydro damage based on her max HP, and continuously grants the Prayer of the Crimson Crown state to the active character. In this state, when a character's normal attack deals elemental damage to an enemy, the damage dealt is increased. Switching characters unleashes a Rippling
Yeah, I
Wave
see a little
attack,
bit of an
dealing
increase
hydro
there.
damage to nearby enemies. This can only be triggered a limited number of times during Prayer of the Crimson Crown's duration. Additionally, characters wielding a sword, claymore, or polearm gain a hydro infusion while Prayer of the Crimson Crown is in effect.
Okay.
After unlocking the talent Celestial Dome of Sand, when a character under the effect of Prayer of the Crimson Crown deals elemental damage with a normal attack, damage dealt is increased based on Candace's max HP.
Based on max HP
Candace
is
is a
kind
kind
of.
soul who is only too happy to stow
It's
her
kind of
weapon
nice
without
because like
need.
then you know what
But
to build.
anyone who
You know.
mistakes her good nature for weakness and fails to respect the customs of Aru Village should prepare to face the consequences. When battle commences, Candace comes to the defense of the party, using her elemental skill to block the enemy's attack and perform a counterattack. When energy is full, She casts her elemental burst to deal AoE hydro damage and boost her teammates' normal attacks with the Prayer of the Crimson Crown status, then joins them in removing the unruly visitors from Aru Village for good. There are many rumors about the village guardian with the one golden eye. They say that the sands are her spies, the storm winds are her servants, the blood of King Deshret flows in her veins, and that even the strongest of foes must yield at her command. People who have lost their guardian deity often display the greatest interest in the gods, but having never seen a god with their own eyes, the far-fetched products of their naive imaginations are poor substitutes for reality. Yet despite being the subject of these fanciful rumors, Candace herself takes a much more sober view of things. A shield is but a tool, a polearm but a weapon, and what matters most is not the divine power a weapon contains, but the determination of the one who wields it.
I like that she has a shield, though. There's not too many characters so far that have like openly had a shield. There's a few, but not that many that we've seen.
The arts are an abstract and intangible concept.
Is this the one I'm thinking of where she like had a plane, left something in the desert? I think that's what I'm thinking.
These questions leave even the academia's most esteemed scholars at a loss. But to Nilou, art is the simplest and purest thing in the world. There is no barrier to entry.
Oh yeah, this is who I was
can
thinking of.
Appreciate its beauty.
Alright, I'm curious to learn more about her.
Though Nilou's dancing may appear delicate, there is measured strength behind every step. Nilou integrates swordplay with agile footwork as she waltzes with the water to the aid of her allies. Dancing requires not only grace, but physical endurance as well. That is why Nilou pays particular attention to her dietary intake. When Nilou achieves perfect cooking on dishes with adventure-related effects, she has a certain chance to double the product. Nilou's normal attacks can combo up to 3 strikes, dealing physical damage.
The cooking ones I feel like are really useful.
When using her charged attack, Nilou consumes a certain amount of stamina to unleash a twirling strike, dealing physical damage. When she uses her elemental skill, Nilou enters the pirouette state, dealing hydro damage to nearby enemies based on her max HP. While in the pirouette state, using Nilou's normal attack or elemental skill triggers her sword dance stance, or whirling step stance, respectively, while damage she deals is converted to hydro damage that cannot be overridden and is treated as elemental skill damage. While the pirouette state is active, Nilou's
seems
third
pretty easy
stance
to
will
apply
end this state
hydro
and trigger a different effect depending on the stance. If Nilou's final stance is Sword Dance, she unleashes a luminous illusion that inflicts hydro damage to enemies it hits, while also gaining the Lunar Prayer effect. While Lunar Prayer is active, Nilou's normal attack is converted to a Sword Dance, and her final hit will unleash a luminous illusion. If Nilou's final stance is Whirling Steps, she unleashes a whirling water wheel that deals AoE hydro damage. Also, a tranquility aura is created that follows your active character and applies the wet status to enemies in range. Nilou cannot perform charged attacks while the pirouette or lunar prayer status is active. Leaving the battlefield will remove the status. After unlocking the talent court of Dancing Petals, if the party consists exclusively of Dendro and Hydro characters, including at least one of each, the third stance of Nilou's elemental skill, when executed, will confer the Golden Chalice's bounty effect on all nearby characters for a limited time. When a character under the effects of Golden Chalice's bounty is hit by a Dendro attack, the elemental mastery of all nearby characters is increased for a certain time. Additionally, triggering a Bloom reaction will produce a Bountiful Core instead of a Dendro Core. The Bountiful Core's attack is treated as a post-Bloom Dendro Core attack, but it bursts more quickly and has a larger AoE than the Dendro Core. Bountiful Cores cannot trigger Hyper Bloom or Burgeon reactions, and they share the same field limit as Dendro Cores. Nilou's dancing style is the stuff of dreams, captivating her audience's hearts and bolstering their spirits. After unlocking the talent Dreamy Dance of Eons, Bountiful Cores triggered due to Golden Chalice's bounty deal increased damage based on how much of Nilou's max HP exceeds a given value. Bountiful Core damage can only be increased in this manner by up to a certain
exceeds a given value. So if you had really high HP, it could be a lot of... Extra.
Nilu's elemental burst begins a dance of faraway dreams and melodic springs.
Ooh,
that
is this
causes
like a
lotus of distant
disengage?
waters to bloom, dealing AoE
Seems like a
hydro
disengage.
damage based on Nilu's max HP.
Wait, I like that a little bit.
Enemies
Not
hit
really.
by
It's
the
not, it
elemental
doesn't
burst
knock them
will
back.
sustain the
That's what I
lingering
thought.
Eon effect, which deals hydro damage after a short delay. To
Okay.
Nilu, there is little difference between
Seems
battle
kind of a
and
simple
dance,
character.
since both can be used to resolve one's troubles. Most of Nilu's combat is centered around her elemental skill. She freely dances between her two stances, with sword dance allowing her to continuously inflict hydro damage via lunar prayer, and whirling steps setting the stage for follow-up elemental reactions through the persistent tranquility aura effect. With the right party composition, Nilu's third stance during the performance of her elemental skill grants the Golden Chalice's bounty effect to her teammates. Triggering the bloom reaction while this effect is active spawns special bountiful cores that deal greater damage to enemies. When her elemental energy is full, Nilu can use her elemental burst to begin a dance of faraway dreams, dealing AoE hydro damage and applying the lingering Eon effect to any enemies hit. The lingering Eon follows up
I
with
like
a
the
further
lingering
attack after
Eon
a short
effect.
delay, ushering in the curtain call of Nilu's spectacular performance.
I just wonder how much her damage their
I
ult
must
is doing.
stress that I am a warrior.
It seems
and in
like
no
it's
way versed in
could be
the
really
disciplines of song
strong,
and dance.
but it's hard to
If
tell.
anyone was expecting to hear my philosophical musings on these topics, I'm sorry to disappoint. But while I am no connoisseur, even I find myself moved once in a while by the sight of an extraordinary performance. Even for the nation of wisdom, citing the pursuit of rationality as a justification for refusing to acknowledge the comfort that an audience can find in the arts is sheer
Yes,
arrogance.
Nahida's next.
When groups clash, or
Yes,
human
yes,
ideals
yes.
conflict with the rules of the world around
Alright,
them,
I'm just gonna click
disputes
Nahida.
of this nature most often arise from the inability to tolerate the existence of that which is different from oneself.
Awesome. Alright, now we get to see if she's actually broken. This is the one I've been really waiting for, because people
As the god
have been
of
saying
wisdom,
she's
she has
really
profound
broken.
Insight into the nature of all things, yet she has never
And she had
the
the really sad
opportunity to
character
learn by
teaser.
doing. One may
Alright,
ask,
let's see what
how
this
can
is
a
all
god
about.
possess true wisdom in the absence of lived experience?
She's a god.
All answers can be found in dreams, and she welcomes fellow truth seekers to dream along with her.
I've been
okay.
waiting for you for ages.
Over
Alright,
her
Nahida.
years of confinement, Lesser Lord Kusanagi
impress
has
me.
grown intensely curious about the world outside. Just through observing from afar, Nahida has learned enough to adapt to any situation. Nahida's normal attack can perform up to 4 strikes that deal dendro damage.
Okay,
Her
she's a
charged
mage.
attack
I like that
consumes
better
the
than a
same amount of
marksman.
stamina to deal AoE dendro damage in front of her after a short casting time.
Okay.
Tap Nahida's elemental skill to cast dendral bonds that deal AoE dendro damage. Of the enemy's hit, a certain number will be marked with the seed of Skanda.
Okay.
Hold her elemental skill to enter aiming mode and target enemies
What's
within
the
a certain
seed do,
range.
though?
Nahida benefits from increased
Ooh, what is
resistance to
this?
interruption while in this mode. Aiming mode lasts for a limited duration, and only a limited number of enemies can be selected as targets. Release the skill button to deal
Alright.
dendro damage
I'm
to
curious
all
what the
selected
seed
enemies,
does.
and mark them with a seed of Skanda.
Alright.
Enemies
Let's
marked
see what
with
the
a seed
seed
of
does.
Skanda and in range of each other will form a connection. When an enemy marked with a seed of Skanda triggers an elemental
Oh, that's
reaction
cool.
or takes damage from dendro cores, Nahida unleashes Tri-Karma Purification, dealing dendro damage to them and all connected enemies based on Nahida's attack.
Wait,
and
that's
elemental
pretty cool.
mastery. Tri-Karma Purification can only be triggered once per set interval.
Wait, I like that a
After
lot.
unlocking the talent Awakening Elucidated, the crit rate and damage of Tri-Karma Purification will be
That makes
increased
other
based on the amount of
other
Nahida's
characters
elemental
so much more
mastery that
useful
exceeds a
for
given
way
value.
like
Tri-Karma
like tons of
Purification's crit rate
situations.
and damage can only be increased in this manner up to a certain amount. Nahida is
Wait, I like
always
that.
watching, listening, learning about the world around her. Nahida's elemental
just
skill allows
wipe
her to
out
interact
everyone
with
at
certain
once, I
harvestable
would
items
imagine.
when they are in range. In some scenarios,
Ooh.
it may also have
Wait,
other
wait, wait,
uses.
wait. You can harvest them with just that? That's so awesome.
The Temple of Wisdom.
When Nahida unleashes
Alright,
her
let's see your
elemental
ulti.
burst, she materializes the Court of Dreams and brings forth the Shrine of Maya. The shrine provides
Whoa.
different effects depending on the elemental types of characters in the party, as follows.
What's going on?
If the party contains a pyro character, the damage dealt by Tri-Karma Purification will be increased when Nahida is within the Shrine of Maya's AoE. If the party contains an Electro character, the interval between each Trikarma purification is decreased when Nahida is within the Shrine of Maya's AoE.
Oh.
If the party contains a Hydro character, the Shrine of Maya's duration will be extended. When the Shrine of Maya is created, if the party contains at least 2 characters of the aforementioned elemental types, their corresponding effects will receive a further boost. So long as the active party member remains within the shrine, the effects
want Hydro,
can be
Pyro.
triggered even if Nahida is not on the field. Nahida freely shares her knowledge with anyone who asks, but how much of it they can comprehend depends on their own aptitude. After unlocking the talent Compassion Illuminated, when Nahida casts her Elemental Burst, the Elemental Mastery of the active character within the Shrine of Maya will be increased based on the Elemental Mastery of whichever party member's is highest. Elemental Mastery can only be increased up to a certain amount in this manner. The God of Wisdom excels both at posing questions and answering them. Combat is no different. The enemy is the conundrum, and her strategy is the solution. In battle, Nahida first targets a group of enemies with her elemental skill, using Seeds of Skanda to connect them to each other. Next, she coordinates with her teammates to
That's
trigger
so
elemental
cool.
reactions,
The connect
repeatedly
them all.
unleashing Trikarma purification.
That's why you guys are probably
As
saying she's broken.
she and her team branch
And
out
her
across
ulti
the
is good,
battlefield,
too.
taking out the weeds as they go. When energy is full, Nahida unleashes her Elemental Burst, creating the Shrine of Maya to increase all active characters' elemental mastery, and provide additional effects depending on the elemental composition of her party. Faced with Nahida's increased dendro damage and the strengthened team around her, all who enter the Temple of Wisdom seeking conflict will soon be reunited with their home turf. Humans often place gods on a pedestal, awestruck by their unfathomable power. Very few ever come to the realization that gods are not the rulers of Teyvat, but merely another form of living being in this world. A god who lacks strength may have little to no advantage, even over mere mortals. Even
Alright, I kind of agree with you guys that she is very powerful, and probably my favorite Dendro character so far.
Perhaps the god of Dendro will continue to propagate herself.
We're gonna go to the next one.
Dreaming may be an entirely new concept to the majority.
I was thinking of skipping the
but one
epilogue
person's
every
already
single
managed to
time, but I
become
didn't want to be
famous for it.
rude.
Recently, the strange tales of the sleepwalking eccentric have been circulating in the academia. Rarely used telescopes quietly moving during the night. Entire theses finished between dusk and dawn, and a girl seen in the city 1 minute spotted all the way over at Caravan Reebot the next. The only one who can't muster the strength to investigate it is Layla herself. Chronic sleep deprivation has taken its toll on her energy levels.
Can't sleep? Let's go for a walk then.
Layla's research primarily focuses on theoretical astrology. After receiving her cryovision, she formed a
another
star-crested veil
astrologist.
with ice and frost, providing a space for her companions to study, rest, and even fight undisturbed. Sometimes,
Oh, she's
while
got
deep
another
asleep,
shield.
a friend that Layla never knew she had will secretly come to her aid. When Layla crafts character talent materials, she has a chance to receive double the product, boosting the party's adventure readiness.
Double the
Layla's
product.
normal attack can combo up to 3 strikes, dealing physical damage to enemies.
Wait, they said
Using her
double the
charged
product?
attack, Layla consumes a certain amount of stamina and performs 2 swift slashes to her front, dealing physical damage. Casting Layla's elemental skill creates a Curtain of Slumber and also deals AoE cryo damage. The Curtain of Slumber
Wait, it does
absorbs
damage
damage
too.
to make stun Layla's max HP, and absorbs cryo damage even more effectively. Layla also becomes affected by cryo for a short time, when the Curtain of Slumber is created. At regular intervals, while the Curtain of Slumber is active, a Night Star is generated, which adheres to the curtain. Additionally, 2 Night Stars are generated when a character protected by the curtain casts their elemental skill. Night Stars can only be generated in this manner once per set time period, and a maximum of 4 Night Stars may exist at one time. After 4 Night Stars have been accumulated, if there are enemies in range, the Night Stars convert to Shooting Stars that automatically home in on enemies, dealing cryo damage on hit. No new Night Stars can be generated until all Shooting Stars have fired. When the Curtain of Slumber expires or is destroyed, any Night Stars present disappear along with it. If they have already converted into Shooting Stars and started firing, they will remain until all of them have finished firing. After unlocking the talent Like Nascent Light, while the Curtain of Slumber is present, gaining a Night Star triggers the Deep Sleep effect. Deep sleep increases the shield strength of a character under the curtain's protection. It can be stacked up to 4 times and is cleared when the curtain of slumber expires. Any disturbance is too much after a night of poor quality sleep. The only solution is to get rid of them completely. After unlocking the talent Sweet Slumber Undisturbed, the shooting stars fired by Layla's elemental skill deal increased damage based on Layla's max HP.
Stars, shine for me.
Sounds pretty nice. And they're ulting now? Let's see what happens.
Layla's elemental burst unleashes a soporific celestial dream sphere that continuously fires starlight
AoE
slugs
damage?
at enemies within range, dealing cryo damage.
Ooh, wait, I actually like it.
Starlight slug
How long
hits
does
an
it
enemy.
last, though?
A night star is also generated on nearby curtains of slumber. Each curtain of slumber.
How much
can
damage
gain only
and
one
how long
night
does it
star in
last,
this
though?
manner
That's what
per set
that's what I
time
really
period.
want to know.
Layla knows the pain of sleep
I
deprivation
like
all too keenly,
that type of
and naturally
ability.
wouldn't wish it on any of her companions.
Like that other Electro girl who
Battle,
summons the...
Layla uses her elemental skill
what
to
are
create
they
a
called?
protective curtain of slumber for her
I called them
teammates,
totems.
and starts accumulating night stars.
I like
Cooldown
abilities like
night
that.
stars will convert into shooting
Those are
stars
great for
that
boss
target
fights because
nearby
you have to
enemies
dodge
and
stuff
deal
and it'll
cryo
damage while
supporting
all
the
that's
battle.
happening, you know what I mean?
When energy is full, Layla unleashes her
can
elemental
run around,
burst to
dodge,
create a
and it'll
celestial
attack for
dream
you.
sphere, which continuously fires starlight slugs at enemies in range to deal cryo damage, while also increasing the production
Yeah, but
of
how
night
big is the
stars,
range?
helping
I
her
guess that's
teammates to comfortably
the issue, because
slide
sometimes
their way
boss
to
fights you're running way far away. And that's where I
Many
feel like
people
that
have two
ultimate would
sides
be
to
the
their
best.
personality, but it's not often that the contrast between
So I guess it
them is
depends
as
how big the
stark as
range
Layla's.
is.
She spends her waking hours crushed by stress over her schoolwork, yet when sleepwalking, her mind is sharp and lucid. She casts aside her unproductive feelings of self-doubt and gets much accomplished. But perhaps she should count her blessings. Finding a goal in life is difficult enough as it is, and having any chance at all to pursue it undisturbed is nigh on impossible. Enjoy life while things are still uncomplicated. Go and do the things you want to do.
Alright, so now we've got 2 left. And I remember this guy. This guy is like, he got bothered by 2 guys on the bridge.
Was a puppet, sound asleep.
I think Layla actually is a really good character, but I just don't know I gotta try her to see how good she actually is.
Boring clearly isn't my style, nor is it the Wanderer's way of doing things. You could say his story is simple and straightforward, or horrendously complex, and both would be right. It all depends on the storyteller.
Are you sure it has to be me? Fine. Let's get this over with.
If you happen to run into this Wanderer, don't let his menacing expression make you nervous. He's really not all that hard to get along with. You just need to keep your distance, that's all. Don't provoke him, and he won't kick up a storm. Simple, isn't it? He doesn't like to talk about it much, but the Wanderer has quite a lot of experience in forging weapons. So when the Wanderer ascends bows and catalysts, it doesn't cost him as much mora. The Wanderer's normal attack can combo up to 3 wind blades, dealing animo damage. His charged attack consumes some stamina and creates a high-pressure wind blast in front of him after a short casting time, dealing AoE animo damage. The Wanderer's elemental skill harnesses the power of the air all around as he casts off the shackles of gravity, dealing AoE animo damage and rising into the air as he enters the wind-favored state. In this state, the Wanderer is unable to use plunging attacks, and his normal and charged attacks are converted to Kugo Fushodan and Kugo Tofukai, which deal increased damage over a wider AoE. Using Kugo
Ooh, that's
Tofukai
pretty good,
will not
then.
consume stamina. The Wanderer hovers in midair while in this state, continuously consuming Kugo.
This character might be good for me because
to remain
I don't know
airborne.
why. The plunging attacks never worked.
When the sprint button is pressed, instead
Or
of
like,
sprinting,
I just
the
didn't
Wanderer
understand the
consumes more
timing or
Kugo
something.
Ryoku points
I
to
just
fly
never
to the
used
air
them.
more
Maybe like very
Holding sprint maintains
rarely.
a faster flying speed while consuming points at a faster rate. Pressing jump raises the Wanderer higher into the air at the cost of Kugo Ryoku points, and holding jump does so continuously. The wind-favored state ends when all Kugo Ryoku points are used up. The wind-favored state allows the Wanderer to do battle from midair, as well as explore difficult terrain more easily.
Oh, I kind of like his
Casting his
exploration.
elemental skill again while airborne brings the wind-favored state to an end. After unlocking the talent Jade Claimed Flower, if the Wanderer's elemental skill makes contact with Hydro, Pyro, Cryo, or Electro when cast, the wind-favored state provides different buffs depending on the element. Hydro increases the Wanderer's Kugo Ryoku point cap. Pyro increases the Wanderer's own attack. Cryo increases his crit rate. And Electro causes him to regain some elemental energy when Kugo Fushodan and Kugo Tofukai deal damage to enemies. A limited quantity of energy can be regained per set time period, and a maximum of 2 buffs can be gained at any one time. The force of wind cannot always be seen, but it can certainly be felt. After unlocking the talent Gales of a Reverie, when Kugo Fushodan...
To be honest, I kind of like this character.
The Wanderer has a chance to gain...
He's definitely one of the most unique. He reminds me of Venti a little bit by flying. But he's like a way better, cooler Venti, if I had to compare him.
Arrows are fired, each dealing animo damage. If a Kugo Fushodan or Kugo Tofukai does not trigger the descent effect, the chance of triggering the effect next time is increased.
Know your place!
Casting the Wanderer's Elemental Burst compresses the surrounding air to form an Animo Plenum that blasts all sources of frustration away, dealing multiple bouts of
How much
AoE
this
animo
feels like it doesn't do much
Casting
damage
his
though.
Elemental Burst while in the wind-favored state brings this state to an end. Though Wanderer is his name, aimlessness is not his game, and he does not hesitate to take decisive action in pursuit of his goals.
I feel like his auto attack is just really good.
His preferred means of doing battle. Once in the wind-favored state, he attacks from the air using his Kugo Fushodan
Yeah, this looks
and
so
Kugo
nice.
Tofukai to deal increased animo damage with a wider AoE. By coordinating with his teammates, he can benefit from a range of enhancements, which make him even more powerful in battle. When energy is full, the Wanderer unleashes his Elemental Burst, dealing several rounds of AoE animo damage in one fell swoop, devastating all obstacles that stand in his way. The world of Teyvat has its own rules. They aren't perfect, though, and in some cases they are as delicate and fragile as the human heart. That's why I've been tasked with the job I have now, a job which gives me certain special privileges. I'm someone who likes having the freedom to live their own life, but I don't mind this
By the
job.
way, comment
It gives
down
me
below
the chance
who
to
is
see
this
world
narrator?
and everything that lives in it,
Or like
from a
what
lot of
character
different
is it?
perspectives. People can find ways to forget, but they can't undo what they've done, and there's no escaping the past. The Wanderer learned this the hard way. But what about his future? Which way will the wind blow? A lot of people crave the power to predict
Last
the future,
one.
but I doubt the Wanderer cares for that. With a past like his, he knows the only way is forward, whatever lies ahead. For better or for worse.
Faruzan. Lady Faruzan.
In the academia's early years, research
And she was chilling by the library, I remember that.
numerous documents. So even though Faruzan is a Haravatat scholar, her mastery of runes led her to
Haravatat.
become one of the pioneer scholars in the field of ancient mechanics.
Harvard.
But as the academic world progressed over
That's
the
what I
course of
think
a
of,
century,
Haravatat.
Faruzan's dedication to this field was buried beneath the sands of time, just like her unusual fate.
Sure, I'll hang out with you youngsters.
Animo.
Although she may look young, Faruzan is an experienced Haravatat scholar and mentor with a robust research background. Her control over the power of animo
I'm
grants
underwhelmed
many
by
new
this character, so
potential to her ancient
I hope I'm proven wrong.
Researching
She's actually
mechanisms and
like
solving
cool,
puzzles
you know
is
what
a
I mean?
hands-on process,
Battle-wise.
and one which has taken Faruzan all across Sumeru. Faruzan gains increased rewards when dispatched on a 20-hour expedition within Sumeru. Faruzan's normal attack can combo up to 4 consecutive
That
shots, dealing
passive is
physical
alright. I think the
With a
cooking
charged
passive
attack,
out of all of them is
Faruzan
probably the
executes a
best.
more
'Cause
precise
you use
aim
that,
shot
like the
to deal
extra more
increased
from the
damage.
expedition,
While aiming, mighty winds
you get
accumulate
enough
on the
more
arrow,
fighting, right?
and a
Maybe I'm
fully
wrong.
charged
I
arrow
can't remember
will
how
deal
much
animo damage.
1,000 more actually is. Like if that's
Faruzan's
anything.
elemental skill deploys a polyhedron device, dealing AoE animo damage and
Polyhedron.
causing her to enter the manifest gale state. In this state, Faruzan's next fully charged shot will consume the manifest gale and turn into a hurricane arrow. This arrow
Ooh,
deals
that's
animo
cool. It's
damage
like an
based on the
AoE
damage of her
vacuum.
fully charged normal attack.
Oh, that's
Parthian
cool.
shot. The hurricane arrow will apply a pressurized collapse
Might be one of my
effect to the
favorite
enemy or
marksmen.
character hit. This effect will be removed after a short delay, creating a vortex that deals AoE animo damage and pulls in nearby objects and enemies. If the arrow does not hit any enemy,
Ooh, they're
or
doing
character,
they're
it will create
duoing.
a pressurized collapse effect at its point of impact. The vortex damage is considered elemental skill.
I like her
damage.
AoE control.
Truth repeats its course.
Unleashing
Oh,
her
her
elemental
ulti. Let's see
burst,
it.
Faruzan deploys a dazzling polyhedron that releases a whirlwind pulse and deals AoE animo damage. While the
Ooh.
dazzling polyhedron persists, it will continuously move along a triangular path. Whenever it reaches a corner of that
For
triangular
how long
path,
does this last?
it unleashes a whirlwind pulse.
I like that.
The
That's
whirlwind
good for
pulse
big
will
battles,
apply
to be
prayerful
honest.
wind's benefit to all nearby party members, granting them an animo damage bonus. When the
Oh,
pulse
and a
hits an
damage
enemy,
bonus.
it will apply perfidious wind's bale to them,
She's a good crowd
decreasing
control.
their animo resistance. After unlocking the talent Impetuous Flow, when Faruzan is in the Manifest Gale state created by her elemental skill, the charging time of her aimed shot is decreased, and she can apply the Perfidious Wind's Bale effect to enemies hit by the vortex created by pressurized collapse. As a veteran of academia, Faruzan never hesitates to impart her wisdom to the future generations. After unlocking the talent Lost Wisdom of the Seven Caverns, when characters affected by Prayerful Wind's benefit deal animo damage to enemies with a normal, charged, or plunging attack, or an elemental skill or burst, they gain the Hurricane Guard effect, increasing the damage dealt by a certain percentage of Faruzan's base attack. Hurricane Guard can be triggered only once within a set duration, and the effect is cleared after animo damage is dealt. Faruzan is
wonder how
unfazed
much
by the fact
damage
that
her
field of
ultimate is
research
actually
now
doing,
considered
though.
outdated.
If
On the
it's, like,
contrary, it has
negligible,
inspired
but
new
she gives a
grit and
damage boost,
determination.
too.
Faruzan starts battle by casting her elemental skill.
I actually
and
like this
quickly
character. I mean,
firing a hurricane
obviously this
arrow
isn't
to
the
deal
character that's
animo
going
damage
to
the
destroy
enemy.
everything
The arrow's
for you, but
pressurized collapse effect
I like
then
her
pulls in
crowd
nearby
control.
enemies, providing
I
support to her
like it. I think
teammates.
it's
When energy is
I think it's
full,
pretty nice.
Faruzan unleashes her elemental burst to deploy a dazzling polyhedron. This device moves over the battlefield,
Oh yeah, Shao.
creating whirlwind pulses and
Spamming
decreasing
plunging
enemies'
attack.
animo resistance, which effectively increases the team's animo damage. Make the most of Faruzan's carefully researched dazzling polyhedron, and the rest of the battle will be a breeze. Time is a relative concept and is perceived differently by different people. 100 years is the longest life most people could imagine. Small wonder that they are fascinated by the idea of someone disappearing for this long, only to return looking not a day older than when they left. To Faruzan, those 100 years were physically exhausting and mentally taxing, yet she balks at the idea of seeking sympathy or being the topic of other people's conversations. Only convincing the academia's new enrollees to address her as madam gives her experience some meaning. But if you ask me, age isn't much of a qualification. After all, time never really stops flowing. And although ancient wisdom should be respected, how long would it really take to erase it all?
Alright guys, that's the full collected Miscellany. And that's part 4. But hopefully you guys watched part 1, 2, and 3. If you guys enjoyed or want me to react to some more Genshin, leave in the comments below. Let me know what you guys want to see. I know someone said that they wanted me to react to the versions, which I think is going to be pretty interesting, like to see like the history of the game and like where it's come from, what version 1.0 or the beta looks like, whatever, compared to today's. I think that would actually be pretty interesting. Let me know if you guys want to see that. Anyways, guys, I am out of here. I reacted to part 2, 3, and 4 all in one session. I'm so done.